The purpose of this video is to establish that consciousness is better captured as coherent, effortless, and subjective experience associated with Gestalt cortex. Consciousness. What people mean when they use this term? Well, a lot of things. I'm going to show you the confusion and how to understand it. Firstly, let's ask Christof Koch what he understands as consciousness.
Experience. Consciousness is any experience. Some people call it subjective feeling, some people call it phenomenology, some people call it qualia if they're philosopher, but they all denote the same thing. It feels like something, in the famous word of the philosopher Thomas Nagel, it feels like something to be a bat, or to be an American, or to be angry, or to be sad, or to be in love, or to have pain. And that is what experience is.
So, called by consciousness means experience. It is something like to be a bat, a given individual, or to experience a certain emotion. Experience seems to be fundamental to all animals, or maybe even to all living beings. Therefore, here, from now on, we are going to use the term experience instead of consciousness. So, what experience is? That's the correct question. To answer that question, we start with 2022 article by Lieberman. In this work, he describes conscious experience as effortless, subjective, and coherent seeing of minds, matter, and meaning, even emotions. Seeing because it's pre-reflective, it just appears to the individual which experiences. Here, for short, we are not going to use the term conscious experience, but simply experience, in an assumption that something which is not conscious cannot be experienced. Lieberman recognizes that experience is subjective to every individual. It is what it is. Experience is effortless rather than effortful. Think about watching a movie. You are immersed in this world that you're watching, and compare it with reflection about scenography or plot. In the first part, you experience the movie itself. In the second part, you experience your own reflection about that. So experience is effortless, pre-reflective. You do not reflect, you just experience. Experience is coherent in a way that the content of experience is immediately meaningful. Like in visual illusions, you can switch back and forth, but the meanings do not overlap. There is one singular, coherent meaning at the time. So we subjectively, effortlessly, and coherently experience something. The content of experience is a topic for another video, as we can experience other beings, dreams, affordances, or even our own thoughts. Today, we focus on the experience itself, and now we will move to the brain, where the experience is in the brain, irrespectively of the content. Lieberman coins the term Gestalt cortex. For those of you interested in psychology, the associations with Gestalt psychology are absolutely correct. Gestalt cortex denotes set of brain regions associated with experience. Areas from lateral parietal cortex, intraparietal sulcus, angular supramarginal gyri, temporoparietal junction, very interesting area, and going back down to lateral portion of temporal cortex and way down to fusiform face area, which is on the ventral side of temporal cortex, and process face, perception of faces. Lieberman points to studies where similarity of experience, as for example in visual illusions, is reflected in neural synchrony of the Gestalt cortex area. This is an interesting direction of study, but obviously more studies are needed. Scientists research experience in the brain as neural correlates of consciousness. There are plentiful theories about that. You can see a review. However, the two dominant theories are global neuronal workspace theory and information integration theory. The key thing is that both of these theories include areas included into the Gestalt cortex as involved in, as they call it, neural correlates of consciousness. Okay, so now we know that consciousness is operationalized better as experience, which is coherent, effortless, and subjective. But what about unconscious processes? Well, obviously, these processes influence the activity of the Gestalt cortex. One way to think about it is that many processes in the brain compete to construct an understanding of a given experience. And once this experience arises, it inhibits alternative experiences. Lieberman noticed that this process is behind our difficulties to accept different points of view. Like, think about someone who is so far into conspiracy theories that it does not accept anything beyond its information bubble. Fancy name for that is naive realism. We naively assume that we experience real world. In fact, we experience our subjective impression of the world. But this is a topic for yet another video. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see it. There are many other terms to unpack, such as thinking, reasoning, self-consciousness, attention. If we are about to uncover underlying truths behind our existence, we have to use precisely defined terms. Oftentimes, we naively assume mutual understanding when we speak about totally different things. We need a coherent language in order to have a constructive discussion. Keep experiencing. Cheers.